Something's wrong with that boy from Stillwater town. Gets off on cruelty when nobody's around. Choking and hurting while it captures the scene. This ain't no mistake, this boy ain't clean. Camera in hand, violence carved in his soul. This was never passion, only power and control. He didn't stumble or make a mistake. He planned the abuse and knew what to take. Their dignity, their safety, their right to say no. Something's not right and now the whole world knows. You ain't for fame, now they know your name. Not for home runs, but for violence and shame. 78 years turned into 150 hours. Was it daddy's Oklahoma State ties that held the power? When will we stop letting predators go free? When will we prioritize survivors over legacy? You got your fame, Jesse, branded in shame. Written in darkness, everyone knows your name. Saw photos of their fear and pain, proof of his power, souvenirs of his reign. It's the oldest story repeating, a hometown hero hiding violent stains. Surgery for one girl to fix what he done, while his teammates kept cheering him on. Payne County's got a pattern as clear as day. Judges failing children while DAs look away. With intensity, 78 degrees versus 150 hours. That's not justice, that's privilege and power. Judge Worthington, it's time to hang up that robe and stand with survivors, not status. You know, at 19 they'll erase everything, wipe the slate clean. No registry, no record, no warning in between. You fool offender, that's what they call this game. While survivors carry scars and future victims have no claim. Payne County, your history speaks loud and clear. Backroom deals and broken trust year after year. Jesse Mack Butler finds his thrills in hurting girls, but money and power let him walk in this world. You ain't for fame, now they know your name. Not for glory, but for violence and shame. 78 years down to 150 hours. Family connections wield all the power. When will we finally stop letting predators walk free? When will we choose to stand with survivors over legacy? You got your fame, Jesse Mack Butler, branded in shame. Written in darkness, everyone knows your name. Something's wrong with Jesse Mack Butler. He's a predator who hurts girls with no filter. Payne County, your failures are reflected in their pain. Backroom deals, judges protecting names. 78 years became just 150 hours. Judges choose survivors over power. Yeah. Jesse Mack Butler, predator, not a star. Payne County judges protect the survivors, not the power.
Live on the air, Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark with your host, Z.
I appreciate it. I'm so glad to see you all. Uh, of course, Cap, Sailor's Wisdom was first. Got to give him kudos for that. Give some love to the mods, Fala and Irish Luna Fairy. We have Southern Gal tonight, Therapist You Know Only fan. So happy to see you. And there's our other mod, Katrina. Yes, we're back together. Give them girls and gentlemen some love because we're going to have fun tonight. Not because the case is fun. Trust me, it's not fun, but we're going to have some fun. I think I got to say hello to everybody. If I didn't, I apologize. But welcome tonight to Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark. Greetings to all the truth seekers, the trial junkies, and the justice warriors. I'm Z, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice, with my ride or die doc riding shotgun as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. And boy, did it fail. We're ready to shine the light on the forgotten story society prefers to leave buried. Buckle up. The path tonight is very bumpy. And this is what they call the justice system. I call it a total nightmare. But before we dive in, I do want to give Justin Shepard, and he's the one in charge of Just in the Nick of Crime, the credit because he has brought national attention to this case, you guys. He has been on top of it from the beginning. He's the host of Just in the Nick of Crime. He's got all the social medias like I do. He's been relentless in his coverage, and we're grateful for truth tellers just like Justin. He refuses to let cases like this disappear into the darkness. And just a minute, the moo's being naughty. And he also has a petition called Stop Plea Deals for Child Predators. And because what we're about to share with you proves exactly why these deals need to end. And so Doc is going to put that in the description. Yes, Cap says you're a bad moo tonight. Moo.
Yeah, a bad move.
Stop. She's being mischievous. But I also want to thank when the gavel drops in Seeking Justice, because I was able to get documents from their discords, and they're supporters of our show, and we really appreciate both of them. And tonight we're going to head to Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now this is a college town about an hour north of Oklahoma City, home of Oklahoma State University, and we're going to share some stuff that's going to make your blood boil, guys. It's a story about young girls and not young women, children who found their voices. It's a story about a system that betrayed them. And it's a story about how in America, justice still depends on who you are. Now, let me introduce Jesse Mack because he is the center of this story. And you know how I hate to give predators their name, but this one, he's getting his name because we want it out there. And hey, Frank, good to see you. So he's 18 years old now, but when these events happened, he would have been between 16 and 17 when he committed these crimes. And we're about to tell you how he was a beloved teen athlete. He was very well known as being a football star. He was or a baseball star. He was popular. The kind of kid who brought flowers and to his girlfriend, his favorite tea, her favorite tea to her, the kind who would take her golfing at the country club and to the church with his family. So that kind of sounds like a dream come true. His family's well known. His daddy at one time was working at the Oklahoma State University. But behind closed doors, Jesse Mack Butler was a monster. Hey, Miss Barbara, glad you're here, sweetie. In September of 2024, Two teenage girls, children, really. We'll call them Survivor 1 and Survivor 2 because we protect their identities. They went to the school authorities to report what had been happening to them. And what they describe is nothing short of a campaign of terror. Now, the first victim, Survivor 1, told investigators that she and Butler were in a relationship from late January of 2024 to early March of 2024. That's maybe not quite 2 months, okay? So think about that. They're kids, very short time period. During that time, she said she was repeatedly told by Butler, no, when he wanted to have sex, she would tell him, she would yell it, she pushed him away, she tried to overpower him, but she couldn't. And according to the affidavit, he told her he was sorry for what he had to do, but he had to do it.
Yeah,
Think about that for a moment, Doc. Can you believe that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's other things he could have done.
Exactly. He told her he was sorry, but he had to SA her anyway. Now, this isn't passion. This wasn't a mistake. This is calculated violence. This was a predator, and he really liked to get them in vehicles where they didn't have a chance at escape. Now, it didn't always happen in vehicles, but when you look at the picture of him, he's a big dude. I mean, when you see pictures of him standing next to his parents, he's tall. He's big boy. On another occasion, when she told Butler she needed to go home, he pulled her on top of him and said, "Not you're not going home until you finish what I want you to." Yeah. She told investigators that she complied with Butler out of fear of what he would do to her if she did not. That after some of the assaults, she was bleeding. She was scared and crying. But then came the strangulation. In late February of 2024, when she refused to have sex with him, he's he put his hands around her throat until she became unconscious. When she woke up, he was laughing at her. "Hey, Billy." She had a handprint and an injury on her neck. "Hey, LaDonna. Good to see you, sweetie." He pinned her down inside her vehicle, straddled her, used his hand upon her neck until her vision became blurry and she became dizzy and confused. Now, this is a young girl. And see that lump on her throat? Yeah. She suffered pain and discomfort in her throat. And she actually ended up requiring a surgical procedure to address the abnormal findings in her neck, believed to have been exasperated by the trauma. She said, that moment changed my life. I was 30 seconds away from dying. That's what her doctor told her, 30
Mm,
seconds. If
yep.
he had put his hands on my neck any longer, I would not be standing here today. So think about that. So she's not only going to carry this physical scar, she has all those emotional ones that he put her through. And for the rest of her life, she will carry that physical scar and the emotional ones. And I mean, so every time she looks in the mirror, you guys think about it. She's going to see that. She's going to remember. But you don't think, how can it get worse? It does. On February 14th of 2024, he actually had taken her to his home. And while they were there, they went into the media room. Well, of course, he pinned her down by sitting on top of her, and he removed her clothing. And then he kept touching her. And she was crying and telling him to stop. And then this happened. His mother knocks on the door and inquired, "Is everything okay?" The victim believed this was because she must have heard her crying and saying no. So let that sink in. Jackie Butler comes to the door and knocks asking, "Is it okay?" but never opens the door.
Whose house was it anyway?
Yeah, Jackie's.
Huh,
This was his parents' home.
yeah.
He lived with his parents. She didn't intervene. She didn't protect that child. She enabled the assault to continue. And then after she left, Butler and the victim left the residence. He was going to take her home. But when he was on the way home, he parked nearby her house but wouldn't let her get out of the car. He forced her to remain in the vehicle with him for approximately 2 hours and told her she wouldn't leave until she did what he wanted her to do. Now, because of his previous aggressive behavior and his ability to overpower her, she was scared to exit the vehicle. Inside the car, he kept grabbing her and touching her where she didn't want him to, and she refused, and he grabbed her hand, and it just kept going on and on. Finally, she was able to get out of the car after threatening to call her mother if he did not let her go. But he followed her into her residence where he continued to try and put moves on her. He finally left between 1:30 a.m. and 2:30 after receiving a text from his sister to come home. So, I don't know about you guys, but Jackie Butler had to have heard that child crying. There would have been no other reason for her to go knocking on that door, and that breaks my heart. And she did nothing. So to me, that's an enabler. She's complicit. Now, the second victim, like I said, that relationship was maybe 2 months. Survivor 2 started dating him in late March of 2024. Now, her mother has come out and said as she watched her daughter slowly withdraw when she started this relationship with him, she noticed something was off, but she didn't have any idea what was happening behind closed doors. Survivor 2 reported that Butler was often physically and mentally abusive and had SA'd her on numerous occasions. In midsummer of 2024, while house sitting for another family, because she was actually trying to get away from him, he became angry with her, showed up, approached her from behind, placed his arm around her neck until she was unconscious. And she could not breathe, and she attempted to get away. Butler initiated having sex with her 3 to 4 times during this incident. He told her he wanted to, uh, keep his hands around her throat so that he could film it on his phone, and let me say that again. He recorded it, you guys. He wanted to remember it. He wanted evidence of his power over her, his ability to bring her to the brink of death and revive her for his own gratification. Butler recorded at least one of these incidences on his cell phone. We don't know if there are more, but at least one. A
Yeah.
search warrant obtained his phone, and they revealed a video with the date and timestamp of August 1st, 2024, and the time in which he can be seen with his arm around her until she's unconscious.
Get a rope.
And yeah, and he specifically told another victim in July of 2024 that he did want to do this to her and he was going to film it. And that's why he set up his phone and he made sure he had it. And he also had other images of underage girls in compromising positions. Yeah, real treat of a dude, isn't he? And according to Survivor 2, she learned what to do and what not to do to avoid being hurt by Butler. She said Butler would pin her down and she was physically unable to get him off. She would often hyperventilate, and he thought it was funny. He thought her terror was funny. No matter what I told him, it did not change his mind, she said.
Well, the
Vic,
answer Katrina's thought about why girls still see this idiot after after the incidents. So
We're
sometimes these girls don't want to believe what's right in
well,
front of them.
we're also going to get to that
Okay.
because there's more toward the story.
All right.
So now the victims did try taking photos of their injuries, the bruises on their legs. He would leave hickeys all over them because he thought that was funny, but he would go through their phones and look for it. But one victim was able to provide a few photos, so I don't know if she was able to get them off her phone quick enough and hide them. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, he was checking. Well, I think the injuries only fan got ignored because sometimes the girls would make, with the bruises and stuff, they would just, oh, I bumped this, I ran into this, I play sport, they came up with excuses. Now, what a lot of people may not understand, there is a third victim, but this young girl hasn't come forward. And I don't blame her. She's probably too terrified after what she has seen, you know? And we don't know her age. We don't know anything about her. And, I hope she can get some help too. But after she saw what he was able to get away with, and we'll go into that deeper, she's scared. So it makes you wonder what kind of threats have they received? Now, one of the charges that he did have was for violating a protective order. And there were also threats that he made, you guys. He told the victims if they ever told anyone what he was doing, he would delete them. He would delete their families. He might even harm himself, or he would delete his own family. So think about that, Jackie. Your own son was threatening to delete you and your family. This kid is not stable in any means.
Mm-mm.
And so there was ongoing intimidation. One victim said, even now, months later, I still do not feel safe. Jesse did not just abuse me, he threatened me. Butler's threats were so effective that the victims described being terrified and hearing his voice in my head reminding me that if I spoke up, he would be there to silence me. So think about that. He's telling her that all of these people, including her, will be harmed if she tells. He was putting an adult trauma on this child that if anything happened to any of these people, see, it was going to be her fault because she went and told. So if anybody got harmed, he's putting it on her shoulders. It's her fault. It's not his. And Stephanie Harlow, she was doing a video and she really came up with a great line when she said, these are children that do not have an adult toolbox to handle all these emotions. So think about that. When you're a kid and you get that little kid toolbox with the little hammer and all that stuff, that's not for adults. It's for children. These girls were put in adult situations. They didn't know how to handle it. His family is well known. His father worked for OSCU at one time. They have money, they have power, they're known. He's making threats that he's going to take out them, their families, himself, his family, and it's all laid on their shoulders. Now, this photo is when he was at the courthouse. See how cool he thinks he looks? That's his mother and his sister that's glaring, and then his father's way over to the side. And Justin from Justin the Nick of Crime said that that was because someone told him that the father was on his phone. It wasn't like he's over there going, "Oh, poor my son." No, he's over there on his phone doing his thing. So, they don't care. They just don't care. But it makes you wonder, this is the family, and when he got arrested, you guys, oh, his mother was acting like he was the victim. His adult daughter, Shelby, that was standing there, one of the mothers of one of the survivors said that she actually rolled her eyes and scoffed when the victim made an impact statement. when the child, now Shelby's an adult, she's married and she's an adult, was scoffing and rolling her eyes at a child that was abused by her psycho brother. And she's rolling her eyes and acting like all that. Yeah. Oh, and it makes me wonder, we know that he violated a no protection order. Do you think the family has stated, and that could be why the third person is not coming forward. Who knows what threats that person has received?
Mm.
We don't know. They could have even had some of their little friends, join in. LaDonna, you're right. He's never been held accountable for nothing in his life, you know. Um, and his father is actually, this is a second marriage for his father. And they said his father's like 70 or something, and he's 18. So and they said his dad was an absent father. So he's not, particularly into whatever this kid is doing. I thought it was very interesting though that he worked for LSU at one time in Louisiana. And I remember checking the page, and they had a photo of him during this whole thing. They've taken down his photo. LSU does not want to be associated with this family.
Yeah. So can you blame them?
No. No, no, no. So this is 3 victims that we know of. 3 young girls. See, that's not a troubled teenager, you guys. That is a predator. And that's why we want his name out there, Jesse Mack Butler, Jesse Mack Butler. These are the charges. I cannot read them because of certain words in there, but those are the charges. And actually, they don't even have the last one, which was the violating of the protection order. So these are the charges against him for the 2 girls. And I need you to understand something critical about this violence that he inflicted. This isn't just SA, you guys. This is about the convergence of 3 of the most dangerous factors in predicting future homicide. The lethal triad: strangulation, sexual violence, and escalation. And the research shows that when someone uses non-fatal hands around the throat against an intimate partner, the risk of future homicide by the same abuser increases by more than 750%. 750%. That's not a typo. But the hands around the neck is one of the single most reliable predictors that an abuser will eventually delete someone. And you might say, well, why? Because when you have hands around someone's throat, it's personal. It's hands-on, it's intimate, it requires the abuser to look their victim in the face while they're cutting off their oxygen, while watching them struggle, while holding their life in their hands. It's a demonstration of ultimate control, you guys. The power to give life or take it away. So Jesse Butler didn't just put his hands around these girls once. He did it repeatedly. He brought them to the point of unconsciousness. He knew exactly how far to go without deleting them. He laughed about it. Then he added the sexual component, the violence to the equation, because he forced them. And that is the ultimate violation of their bodies, a tool of complete domination. The perpetrators who use it are demonstrating a level of entitlement and rage that is closely linked to lethal violence. They're not just physically overpowering their victims. They're degrading them. They're erasing their humanity. They're reducing them to objects for their gratification. Remember what he said? I have to do this. There was no passion, no nothing in that comment. This is something I have to do. So when he put his hands around their throat and then SA'd them, and those are used together, which Jesse Mack Butler, we'll say his name again, did with both of these victims, and I'm sure the third, it signals an abuser who is willing to use extreme physical violence and seeks to dominate in the most intimate, destructive way possible. This combination indicates a high probability of further escalation. And escalation in cases like this leads to one place: deletion. But there's a third element to what Jesse Mack Butler did with his violence, and that makes him even more dangerous. He recorded it. He wasn't just committing these acts in the heat of the moment, he was planning them. Because the one girl, after she was unconscious, when he brought her back, he said he was going to do it again so he could film it. That's premeditation. He set the phone up for it. He was documenting them. He wanted to be able to relive them later. It's kind of what a serial killer does, you know? Yeah, way to incriminate yourself. Yep. So this shows how premeditated and deliberate and a complete lack of empathy or remorse. And here's the most terrifying part. Jesse Mack Butler, what is he learning? What lesson has he learned from this experience, you guys? Not that violence is wrong when you commit against women. No. Not that he needs to change his behavior. No. He's learned that if you leave your victims alive, they can tell on you. He's learned that videos on your phone can be used against you as evidence. He's learned even with overwhelming evidence, even with multiple victims, even with documented proof of your brutal violence, if you have the right last name, if your daddy has the right connections, you can walk away with community service. But he also learned something else. Dead girls can't testify. I want you to think about that. Really think about that. Because when they first put the charges on him, he was looking at 78 years in prison. Because he was charged with, as an adult, with 11 felony counts. 11. Now, of these 11 felony accounts, I just, like I said, you were able to read them. It just, when I look at the list and what it said, it makes me ill. Yeah, you're right, Vala.
It
He
just
didn't learn anything except that how to do it better next time.
and
So he was
it just makes me looking at this picture of him. This is not like the guy is Brad Pitt or anything. I mean,
I know.
so I I don't get it. I just
He
you
was an
know.
athlete. He was a star athlete in high school.
Hmm.
You're talking high school children. He's from a well-known family. They have money. He took them to the country club. Of course, at one of the country clubs, he did try to assault one of the girls. Yeah, Katrina, you're right. And he should have been he was at first charged as an adult. And he was facing 78 years in prison. Even if he served all those things concurrently, he was looking at a decade behind bars. And the evidence was overwhelming. They had videos, they had medical exams, they had phone records, victim testimony, and the affidavits. Trust me, I read them, pointed a devastating picture of brutal, repeated violence against children. It should have been a slam dunk. And they can't say, well, it was so long ago, memories are off. No, this was 2024. It wasn't that long ago. But then something happened that has left the community of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and the people across the country demanding answers. And that's that after his arrests, well, just the way he was treated when he was arrested. You can catch it on TikTok. Justin the Nick of Crime has some of the videos of when he was arrested. The body cam footage shows the police arriving at his home to execute the arrest warrant. Now, the family knew this was coming. They were actually supposed to let him turn himself in, but the arrest warrant came out and they showed up at the door. And the best friend of Jackie is a local bondsman named Candy Baker. So she gave him the heads up. Great job, Candy.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Jesse's mother, Jackie Butler, wasn't home when the police arrived. So she instructed Jesse to hide inside and not answer the door until she got there. Now, when she arrived, she told the police, "I told him not to answer. He's scared to death." How do you think those little girls felt being choked out and not knowing if they'd wake up? Now that's scared to death. Only fan wants to milk Candy. Yeah, well, let's put Jackie in that too. And she was kind of indignant with the cop. She kept saying, "Well, my attorney called you." She kept telling that one cop, "and you didn't call him back." She says, "I called him back and he never returned my calls." "Well, he called you several times." She goes, "He called me once." And she calmly explained the warrant. And then she said that his bond would only be $25,000. Now that I do not understand. Um, well, the one cell phone that they had that had the bad photos on it, LaDonna, they kept because she asked when they were getting the phone back. And the one cop told him, "Never. It's part of the case." And because he had, I think, some CSAM on it, some child adult pictures. So there was no way he was getting it. And the officer told Jackie that if she contacted the bondsman, that he would get out right away. She goes, "Well, I'm best friends with Candy Baker. I'm sure you know. She's the one who told me." So everything was prearranged. The lawyer was ready, the bondsman on speed dial. So this isn't how arrests go for the normal people. This isn't how it goes if you're a black teenager or a native teenager or a poor teenager or another minority accused of a violent felony. If Jesse Mack Butler had been a minority, he would have been on the ground and they would have been cruel and mean. And, there would have been no interaction, no nicey nice. But because his father was connected to OSU, those officers were chatting with him about baseball. "Oh, when's the next game? I follow you on Game Changer." I mean, really? He's not a baseball star. He's a teen predator. He's 18 now. And they wouldn't have assured his mom, "Oh, he'll be in and out quickly. This is the jail you go to." If he'd been in a minority, the parents would have been fortunate to even find out where they were taking their son. And he would still be in jail because his bond would have been like $1,000,000, not some 25,000. I mean, just think about that. It makes me sick. And this is total white privilege because of who his family was. This is class privilege. This is what justice looks like when your last name opens doors. When Jesse came outside, his mother told him, "Give me your wallet and phone and stuff." Now, of course, he said that stuff was out in his car. And then listen carefully what she asked next. Because she did ask about the phone. And they told her, you're not getting it. And when she tried to hug him, he kind of pushed her off. So he doesn't really respect women. But then she told him, "Say your prayers." Yeah, say your prayers. That boy ain't prayed for nothing in a long time. Oh, that just when you stop and think that she thought that they were going to get the phone with child adult pictures back? I mean,
Yeah,
please.
I don't think so.
Yeah. They thought they were gonna get the photos of him, putting his arm around that one girl's neck until she's unconscious? No. And these images actually constitute federal crime material. So to me, it's disturbing that law enforcement has not indicated that they could prosecute on a federal level. If the state wants to be wishy-washy because they all know each other, why aren't the feds stepping in saying, "You know what? Give me the phone." Because that phone is evidence of his depravity, and it's locked away in police custody as a permanent reminder of what he is. She says, "Stay silent. Rick knows about this. Andy's on his way. Dad's on his way. We're coming to get you. Say your prayers." Oh, please, lady. And then after they put him in the patrol car, she has the gall to say, "This is such a horrible experience for a child." I'm sorry, lady. The children who suffered are the ones that had someone put their arm around their neck until they blacked out. The ones who were forced to commit SA acts while trying to stop this overgrown man baby, Jesse Mack Butler. They were left with bruises, they were bleeding. These children who suffered are the ones who need therapy for the rest of their lives, that have had to have surgery on their neck, that'll have physical scars. The children who suffered are the ones your family continues to victimize with your arrogance and your entitlement. Not that self-entitled little monster you created, the one who didn't even want mommy to touch or hug him as they were going to arrest him. And then to think that this the police officer is making small talk with him about his baseball career. I hope there is not a college out there that gives this kid ever any kind of scholarship for a baseball career. I mean, this was like a white glove service arrest for a violent sexual predator. This is just ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't put some schools past it.
You're probably right. You're probably right. But in August of 2025, he did plead no contest to all 11 felony counts against children because they were children. So think about that. No contest. In other words, I'm not going to admit it, but you guys got enough on me that, yeah, okay. So now this is our special judge, Susan C. Worthington. She decided to grant him youthful offender status. She reclassified him from adult offender to youthful offender, wiping out what should have been a 78-year prison sentence for SAing and trying to put your arms around someone's throat until they're passed out or deleted eventually. It would have happened. Instead of prison, guess what he got, Doc?
Nothing.
He gets 150 hours of community service. He gets therapy. He has a curfew. He can't be on social media.
Well, that's pretty much nothing.
Yeah, no jail time, no prison time, and no sex offender registry.
Hmm.
And if he's a real, real good boy when he turns 19 and he follows all these little rules, they expunge his record. You heard me right. They will expunge it, and that happens in August of 2026. That's right, folks.
Yikes.
Just months away, and this little predator, potential little serial, will be able to be at it again as if it never happened.
And as we talked with Professor McLeod, it will happen again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not a it is he's it just sounds like he's wired wrong, and it
Yeah.
will happen again.
Yeah. And Barbara, you're right. He's going to commit another crime
Yeah.
because he didn't learn anything from this. What he's learned is you don't leave living victims because they tell on you. You don't leave pictures on your phone. Hey, Patriotism USA, thanks for coming. So, And of course, let's show his family again because I just love showing those people, even though we don't have a good picture of his dad. Um, but the family, and when the victim impact statements were read, like I told you, those girls, they stood there and gave their impact statement, and the trauma, the terror that they went through, the lasting damage. And his sister, that chick standing there, rolled her eyes and scoffed at children that were victimized by her predator brother. And let me tell you, the community in Stillwater, they are not happy people. There's some of the signs. Our daughters deserve better. And then it has an expletive for Butler. Brave girls, dirty judge. I mean, these are just some of the signs. They have signs all over. And every time they have protests, it says no one should have to protest for protection. And that's true. Why should they? Part of the judicial system is you're protecting others. But the community has erupted. Protesters have filled the street. One person stepped up to demand accountability, and that's this man right here. This is Oklahoma State Representative Justin J. Humphrey. He is a former law enforcement official, and he has called for a grand jury indictment of the DA, the prosecutors, and the judges who allowed this plea deal. He's calling it what it is, a miscarriage of justice enabled by corruption and favoritism. To go from more than 75 years in prison to 100-something hours of community service, he said that's sketchy as heck. And he didn't say heck. Humphrey said, who are they responsible to? Are they responsible to the parents of the SAer, or are they responsible to the community? And thank goodness for Representative Humphrey, because he's out there really blowing it up. Finally, someone with some power is asking some of the right questions. Now, it was just announced. I just saw this today. I don't know when the announcement was made that that Judge Worthington has actually is going to be stepping down, and and that's not her. She's going to be stepping down, but they said that because she's the one that signed the sweetheart deal, but this was reportedly scheduled her retirement before this happened. So she'll be off the bench by the end of the month, December 2025. But, let's, someone said, well, she had some health issues. Yeah, I'd like her mental faculties checked too, because I don't know how she could have looked at those little girls and said, yeah, let's make him a little teen offender. He's not. He's a grown-ass man. But with all the online scrutiny, the growing legal challenges, you know, I think it's helped some of it. The DA has tried to come out and make statements that, you know, that this is what they do to help offenders. You're not teaching him anything. And her attorney, and this is her attorney, one of the girls' attorneys, she has filed a groundbreaking legal motion, and the file challenging the entire plea deal, just as national attention is focused on Worthington's decision. And it calls for her removal, grown louder. She announced retirement, convenient. Okay. But it may not stop Jesse Mack Butler from walking free, you guys. But her attorney, Rachel, and I think the last name is Bassett, represents one of the teenage survivors. And this motion that she's filed could change some things. This motion alleges that the victim's constitutional rights were violated at nearly every stage of the case under Oklahoma's Marsy's Law. Marsy's Law guarantees crime victims certain rights. You have the right to any notice, the right to be heard, and the right to participate in the process, and the right to review evidence. And according to Bassett, these girls were denied all of it. They weren't giving proper notice. They didn't know about the plea agreement until shortly before walking into the courtroom. The one girl was given 10 minutes before they announced it. They've never been able to see all of the material, all of the evidence. They were violated from the beginning to the end of this entire process. And the motion asked the court to step in and reconsider the deal that erased Jesse Mack Butler's prison time altogether. Now, could this result in his sentence being thrown out or reevaluated? I don't know. They said kind of unlikely. But it could lead to him actually maybe getting some prison time if they get someone that has some cojones, but I don't think any of them do. Bassett said that they believe there are legal grounds beyond just Marcy's violation, specifically regarding the youthful offender certification process. And she said that will be briefed further. This is reportedly the first motion of its kind in Oklahoma, the first time anyone has challenged a conviction or plea deal under Marcy's law in this way. Bassett says she's spoken with many attorneys who have tried to assert Marcy's law rights on behalf of their clients, but have been shot down by district attorneys and courts. But this time is different. And why it's different, the evidence is overwhelming. And this time, everybody on the internet worldwide, I've seen articles on this over in UK papers. People are on this.
Hmm.
This is total injustice and people can't understand it. Barbara, you're right. Sometimes it really does seem like the criminals have more rights than victims. And this is the DA, Laura Austin Thomas, and she should be ashamed. Because her office reportedly, of course, they're fighting back. And they say that the motion succeeded exposes just how badly they failed these girls. So it takes away one of those cases they have in their win column. Because trust me, they put this in their win column. So if they somehow get an appeal or something happens, that'll be taken out of their little win column. They won't be able to count it. And so that's just wrong. But she tried to act like they cared so much for the victims that they didn't want to put them through this. It's like, excuse me? You know, you're trying to say that you were, no, these girls were ready to come to court and have their say. You took it away from them. You didn't protect them. You cut them off. And it's all because y'all know each other. Something don't smell right in Stillwater, Oklahoma, people.
Hmm.
Payne County has some issues, and the whole world is watching. When attorney Rachel Bassett was asked how her client's doing, she said she's doing as best as she can. She won't ever have a normal teenage life again. Her childhood was stolen from her in many ways. She lost the typical high school experience, but at least now she has the opportunity to be heard. These girls will never get their childhood back. Survivor 2 is completing her senior year online. She's withdrawn from the prom, from graduation, from all the typical milestones. Survivor 1 had surgery on her neck and will carry the scar forever. And the third victim still too terrified to come forward. Watching this legal circus and knowing that even with 2 brave survivors, even with video evidence, even with overwhelming proof, the system still failed. These are children's lives that were destroyed by Jesse Mack Butler. Violence and then destroyed again by the justice system that valued his future over their safety in any other girl he comes in contact with. Now, on December 8th of this month, he did have to appear in court for a compliance hearing on all of his little, meager sentence. Hey, Jules Guitar. Glad you're here, sweetheart. His community service was ordered to begin in October of 2025, right? He didn't start it until December 2nd. That's a 2-month delay. So where's the consequences of not doing your community service when you were told to? See, why was he not checked on that? What about the daily check-ins he's supposed to make with his probation officer? Well, he missed a couple. One, he just forgot, and the other, he didn't feel good. So where's the violation hearing on that one?
There
I want to
most
know.
likely won't be one.
Yeah. And guess who that judge was? That judge is Judge Cooling, Kulling. So if this were anyone else, they would have gone to jail. But Judge Michael Cooling found Butler complied. Now, the first people they were going to try and put him with for his community service, they didn't want him. So his parents had to find someone that would take him. But that shouldn't be on, he still should have been doing something. So, no. And Judge Michael Cooling, please get your cojones and do something with this child. You had a shot. You had a shot to make something happen. But instead, he said, "Oh, everything's fine. Let's just move along." That was your chance to stand up and do the right thing. And the protesters, they were lining the street. So next time any of you people are up for election, I wouldn't be looking too favorably for you. They shouted at Butler as he entered the courthouse, asking why he SA'd the girls. Why did you SA them, Jesse? Why did you SA those girls? Of course, he didn't answer. And then they followed him out to the parking lot. I loved it. But there was no accountability, just silence and the protection of his family's privilege. So before we end tonight, of course, we have to talk about our missing people. And remember, if you're out in public, put that cell phone down. Look at faces, you guys, whether you're in a store, on public transport, or just going down the street. We want to make sure that if you see somebody and they might have left voluntarily and then they were in a position where they couldn't come back, or they were in a situation where they were trafficked, we know it happens. And you could be someone that could bring someone's loved one home. Don't trust anybody else to make the call, even if other people are around. If you see something suspicious, call 911. Don't be afraid to do it. Okay? We got to do it. You can also contact us at our email, which is for tips, which is tips, the number 4, trialjunkiesunited@gmail.com. We'll pass the information along. But don't be afraid to call them. You just tell them you have a tip. Now, this is Amanda Rose Butcher. She's 42. She's been missing since December 9th from Fort William First Nation, Ontario, Canada. She's believed to be perhaps in the Thunder Bay area. She's 5'5". She's 140 pounds. She has brown eyes and brown hair. So if anyone has any information, Anishinabek, I think, and I'm sorry for the First Nation up there if I mispronounced that name, police at 1-888-310-1122. You can also get your tips into Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. And Doc always, does his thing with these. Also, we have Isaiah Chimmerma. Jeremiah? Okay. Thanks, Doc. I count on you so much. He's 29, and he's been missing since November 25th from Farmington, New Mexico. He's got brown eyes, black hair. He's 5'9", weighs 220 pounds. He was last seen wearing a red shirt, blue jeans, green Nike shoes in the area of Subway, 100 Phillips Road. If anybody has seen Isaiah, please contact the Farmington Police Department at 505-334-6622. The case number is 25-72728. Let's bring Isaiah home too. Next, we have LaDonte Ross, and he's only 15, you guys. He's been missing since December 15th. He's from Charles Mix County, South Dakota, and he may have traveled to Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. He's 5'7", and he weighs 135 pounds. He has black hair, brown eyes. He was seen wearing a hoodie and black pants, and that's Charles Mix County in South Dakota. The sheriff's phone number is 605-487-7625. And our last missing person is Melik Nelson. He's 16. He's been missing since December 10th from Gallup, New Mexico. Now, he is also Navajo and Dene, and he has brown eyes, black hair. They said his hair is medium length. He's 5'8", 180 pounds. He was seen wearing a black t-shirt with cookies and white print, black jeans, yellow and black Nike shoes. He has a tattoo of a cross on his left hand. He was last seen leaving a residence about 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon or evening at Red Hills Mobile Home Park. So if anyone knows where Melick is, please contact the Metro Dispatch at 505-722-2002. Or you can contact 505-863-9365. Or on any of these, you can always contact your local police station if they happen to be in your area. So Jesse Mack Butler, he is planning on going to college out of state. And that's why we keep saying his name. And you guys, please plaster his picture everywhere, please. Because after August of 2026, if they don't catch him on a violation, they're going to expunge his record. He will not be on the registry. He'll be all over the internet because we're not going to let him off that easy. But we need this out there because he's going to be on a campus where no one knows who he is. His record's going to be gone. And then think about what that means. A college campus, parties, alcohol, young women who are vulnerable, who trust too easily, who have no idea they're in danger. We know girls, they get roofied at college parties. We know that there is date SA that happens. It's an epidemic on college campuses. And we know Jesse Mack Butler has already shown us exactly what he's capable of. But now he's learned something new, that if you leave your victims breathing, they can tell on you. So what happens the next time? What happens when he's alone with the young woman and things escalate? What happens when he starts choking her and realize she might report him? Dead girls can't testify. Dead girls can't identify you. Dead girls can't send you to prison. Jesse Butler has already demonstrated that he's willing to bring girls to the brink of death. He knows how to manipulate their throats to where they're unconscious and has had no accountability, no consequences. His family's still protecting him like he's a little baby boy. So what's going to stop him from going all the way next time, you guys? The third victim is too scared to come forward, and our thoughts and prayers are with all the girls. But how many more will there be? How many more girls are going to suffer because the Payne County justice system valued the Butler family's reputation over children's lives? And you guys, Oklahoma has a pattern of enabling predators. Another case that Judge Susan Worthington has a history of is Justin Shepard, the dude with blonde hair in the picture. He was a former teacher named Seth Swaim, caught sexting a 13-year-old child, stalking her, trying to crawl through her bedroom window. He was sentenced to 10 years, you guys. He served 8 months. And guess what he did, Doc? He got out and did it again.
Yep.
And his new victim, she was 16. She filed reports and got a protective order. Judge Worthington kept lowering his bond.
Sheesh.
He violated the protective order 11 times. 11 times. Each time she let him walk. Same county. Payne, Oklahoma. Same judge. Same prosecutor. The same broken system. So this isn't just about one bad case, you guys. This is about bad decisions. This is a pattern. This is a system that consistently protects the predators while the victims suffer.
Well, it sounds like there's money changing hands here.
Something
Because, that's
for
just
favors.
yeah. Yeah.
It could just be favors.
Yep.
So if this outrages you guys, act. File a complaint against Judge Susan C. Worthington with the Oklahoma Council on Judicial Complaints, 1901 North Lincoln Boulevard, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73105-4999. Phone is 405-522-4800. Or you can go online at oklahoma.gov, /cojc.html. Because even though she's retiring, there's going to be a record of what she did. Also, sign Justin Shepard's petition just in the nick of time to stop the plea deals for child predators. That's got to stop. And this really case proves why. Support Representative Justin J. Humphrey's call for a grand jury indictment. You know, if you live in Oklahoma, contact your representative. The DA, the prosecutors, and the judges in all these cases, they need to be looked at because there's something going on in that county. Support attorney Rachel Bassett's Marcy Law motion. This could be groundbreaking. This could change how victims' rights are protected in Oklahoma and even beyond. Share Jesse Mack Butler's name and face. When he arrives on that college campus, students deserve to know who he is. His record may be expunged by August, but the internet is forever, Jesse. And stand with survivors. Believe them and please support them. Be their voice when the system silences them. To the brave survivors and the third victim who's too scared to come forward, we see you, honey. We believe you. What happened to you is not your fault. You were children. You're not defined by what Jesse Mack Butler did to you. You're determined by your courage, your strength, and your refusal to be silenced, your survival. And to everyone listening, remember these names. Jesse Mack Butler, serial predator with 3 known victims. Jackie Butler, enabler who treated her SA son like a victim. Shelby, her daughter, who rolled her eyes at the victim impact statements. Judge Susan Worthington, who granted unconscionable leniency and is now conveniently retiring. DA Lauren Austin Thomas, who failed these children. And let's remember Representative J.J. Humphrey and attorney Rachel Bassett. They're heroes that are actually fighting for justice. Because Jesse Mack Butler, he's going to offend again, you guys. The research is detailed. The lethal triad of hands around the throat, sexual violence, and escalation points to one inevitable conclusion. And when he does, the blood will be on the hands of every person in Payne County justice system who chose privilege over protection. This is why we need to raise the age of consent to 18 across the board. These were children, 16 and 17 years old. They're not equipped to handle relationships with this level of violence and manipulation. Actually, no one is. No one should have to. But they were children who should be protected and not told their abuse doesn't matter because they were in consensual dating relationships. We need to do something about these Romeo and Juliet laws for minors because children are not ready for commitments of sexual relationships, much less raising children themselves if pregnancy occurs, which can happen. The law needs to protect them, not create loopholes for predators. And here's an example. In Tennessee last week, this man right here on the screen is 62-year-old Michael Hawley in Giles County, Tennessee. He was taken into custody and charged with aggravated statutory, you know the word, for a relationship involving a 16-year-old girl. Let that sink in. According to investigators with Pulaski Police Department, Michael Hawley, 62, married the 16-year-old in Alabama with her parents' permission.
Oh my.
Thankfully, people in Tennessee began reporting what they were seeing. Alabama allows 16-year-olds to marry with parental consent. And let's emphasize that, parental consent. But let's call this what it really is, you guys. It's a loophole that predators can exploit to obtain legal access to children. It transforms parents from protectors into facilitators. It turns SA into matrimony. It makes grooming look legitimate on paper. These laws were not designed to protect children. They were created in an era when children, particularly girls back then, were treated as property to be transferred from a father to a husband. We don't live in that world, and we know better. We understand that a 16-year-old cannot consent to a relationship with a 62-year-old geezer. We know that's not love, it's predation. We see the power imbalance, it's insurmountable. We know this causes lifelong trauma, yet we still have laws on the books that enable it. Here's what needs to happen: federal minimum marrying age of 18, no exceptions. No parental consent loopholes, no judicial bypass, 18, full stop. Interstate legal coordination, a marriage that facilitates SA in one state shouldn't be recognized as a shield against prosecution in another state. And Tennessee doesn't play that way. Accountability for parents who enable abuse, signing a consent form that hands your child over to a predator, that should have consequences. I'm sorry. The Pulaski DA is reportedly considering this, and they absolutely should. Mandatory reporting and investigation when a significant age gap marriage. Now we're talking 62 to 16, you guys. We're not talking, a slight, gap here. We're talking huge.
We're talking over 40 years.
Yeah. And it was a child. 16. It should be automatically trigger a welfare check, an investigation for coercion, grooming, or trafficking. The bottom line, every predator depends on the legal loopholes, complicit adults, and systems that look the other way. We cannot provide them with any of these items. That 16-year-old girl needed protection. She needed adults who would say, absolutely not. When a 16-year-old man showed interest in her, instead, her parents drove her to Alabama, signed away her rights, and the fact that she's back with them now, I don't know about you, but that terrifies me because those people saw nothing wrong with this arrangement in the first place. I want to know what they got out of it. Are they now responsible? And they're now responsible for her safety again. Silence is betrayal.
Yep.
And so is a signature on a marriage license when the bride is still a child. We have to do better. We have to close the loopholes. We have to protect the children, even from their own parents when necessary, because marriage should never, ever be a predator's permission slip. It just gets me the wrong way, guys. So just remember, every killer or predator depends on our silence. Don't give it to them. Be like those people in Tennessee and stand up and start calling in saying, something's wrong over here. What's this? What's Geezer doing with this young girl? I'm proud of those people in Tennessee that called it in. And always remember, if you know something, speak up. Because it wasn't a mannequin. It never is. And if you know something, all you have to do is say something. And somebody always knows something about the situation. If you guys have a story that you think needs our attention, don't hesitate to contact us at trialjunkiesunited@gmail.com or hit our social media posts. Every Thursday, we devote our Justice After Dark exclusively to our Indigenous and Native brothers and sisters. We tell their stories because every story deserves justice. We thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. And we're probably not going to do a show Thursday night. Okay. I don't know if we might just pop on to say hello one evening. We'll see. We'll see if anybody calls for it. So you know how to get a hold of us. We have a Facebook group page. We have our Discord server. We love you. Good night, Doc.
Good night, Doc.
Thanks for riding with me, babe.
Yep.
We love you all, and remember, criminals never stop, so neither do we. Until next time, you keep fighting for justice, and we'll see you on Trial Junkies United, Justice After Dark. Silence is betrayal. Ciao. We love you.
Something's wrong with that boy from Stillwater town. Gets off on cruelty when nobody's around. Choking and hurting while it captures the scene. This ain't no mistake, this boy ain't clean. Camera in hand, violence carved in his soul. This was never passion, only power and control. He didn't stumble or make a mistake. He planned the abuse and knew what to take. Their dignity, their safety, their right to say no. Something's not right and now the whole world knows. You ain't for fame, now they know your name. Not for home runs, but for violence and shame. 78 years turned into 150 hours. Was it daddy's Oklahoma State ties that held the power? When will we stop letting predators go free? When will we prioritize survivors over legacy? You got your fame, Jesse, branded in shame. Written in darkness, everyone knows your name. Saw photos of their fear and pain, proof of his power, souvenirs of his reign. It's the oldest story repeating, a hometown hero hiding violent stains. Surgery for one girl to fix what he'd done, while his teammates kept cheering him on. Payne County's got a pattern as clear as day. Judges failing children while the ass look away. With intensity, 78 degrees versus 150 hours. That's not justice, that's privilege and power. Judge Worthington, it's time to hang up that robe and stand with survivors, not status. You know, at 19 they'll erase everything, wipe the slate clean. No registry, no record, no warning in between. You fool offender, that's what they call this game. While survivors carry scars and future victims have no claim. Payne County, your history speaks loud and clear. Backroom deals and broken trust year after year. Jesse Mack Butler finds his thrills in hurting girls, but money and power let him walk in this world. You ain't for fame, now they know your name. Not for glory, but for violence and shame. 78 years down to 150 hours. Family connections wield all the power. And will we finally stop letting predators walk free? When will we choose to stand with survivors over legacy? You got your fame, Jesse Mack Butler, branded in shame. Written in darkness, everyone knows your name. Something's wrong with Jesse Mack Butler. He's a predator who hurts girls with no filter. Payne County, your failures are reflected in their pain. Backroom deals, judges protecting names. 78 years became just 150 hours. Judges choose survivors